and welcome to the Core Connection. I'm Mira Rubin here with you on Enlightened World Network, and today's topic is alignment and the magic that we can create when we are aligned in head, heart, and will. So before we get started, let's just take a minute to get present, and let's take a deep breath in through your nose. Hold it and imagine clean, crisp oxygen flooding your lungs, flowing into your bloodstream, nourishing every cell and every organ of your body, bringing vitality and life and energy. And as you exhale, exhale any tension and relax your shoulders. And now let's take another deep breath in through your nose. Hold it, and this time imagine sparkling white light lighting you up, energizing and electrifying every cell, every electron, every molecule in your body, and connecting you with the world beyond. And as you exhale, exhale any remaining tension. And now let's just gently press our palms together and softly, softly, softly rub your fingers against your palms. Feel the tickling and the tingling and the sensation, and allow yourself to become present right here, right now. Welcome, welcome. So, we've been talking about head and heart a lot this week. And now we're going to just tie a bow on the whole thing together, I think, by putting it together with the idea of alignment and what alignment actually is, and how we can use it as a beacon for our decisions and our activity in the world. Because so much of what we end up doing, if we're doing things on autopilot, we might be ending up doing things where we're out of alignment. And sometimes sometimes we're called to do things that are out of alignment with ourselves. Maybe we're in a job where we're not really aligned in terms of our values and our desires. Hello, Natalie. Welcome, welcome. Great to have you here. Thank you. And thank you to everybody else who's here today. We're talking about alignment and how aligned do you feel in your life with the activities and the pursuits that you have in your life. Um, what I notice for myself in the past is that I've tried to convince myself that I was in alignment with things that I wasn't in alignment with, because it would be easier. Hello, I'm not sure if I'm saying your name right, but Sekeli, welcome, welcome. I'm glad you're here to join us today. We're talking about alignment and how the misalignment, when we live out of alignment, we actually are doing a violence to ourselves in our deepest heart and soul. And so it behooves us to check in and find out if we are in alignment in our actions and our relationships and our pursuits. And if we're not, to look at how we might take steps to create greater congruency. So another word for alignment is congruency. In other words, my thoughts and emotions and actions are congruent with each other. In other words, they're all kind of lined up and going in the same direction, rather than us having battles against ourselves, where we're thinking that we're doing the right thing, but our heart is not in it, and our heart is saying something else. And so how do we know when we're in alignment? I think mostly it's a feeling. And we've been talking a lot about heart and mind this week. How do you know when you're in alignment? And do you even think about that? Because sometimes we just do without really being present to what we're doing. And we've spoken, this has kind of been the running theme all week. And the bottom line is that when we bring ourselves present and conscious, we have the opportunity to reframe. Hello, Lillian, welcome back. Great to see you. We're talking about alignment today. Uh, when we check in, we get to see whether we're in alignment or not in alignment with different aspects of our lives, or as we exist in different aspects of our lives. And it behooves us to be present to whether we're aligned or not, because if we're doing things that are out of alignment, those things actually take a toll on us. Those things are a violation of self. And I remember years ago, I had a job as a sales rep. I was an outside sales rep selling eyeglass frames. And at first, to opticians, optometrists, and ophthalmologists. And at first, I loved it, because it was new and it was challenging, and there were lots of things to occupy my attention. And I enjoy I enjoy the learning and the challenge of something new, the places I was going, the people I met, everything was new. And over time, I cultivated relationships with these people. And that was something that, although I really found no meaning in terms of the grander scheme of things in selling eyewear, I did find my relationships rewarding with the people that I was communicating with. And I loved the freedom of being able to make my own schedule and all that kind of thing. But toward the end, thank you, Lillian. Toward the end of my time as a sales rep, I I was having conversations with my employers where they were demanding that there were certain quotas to meet. And these quotas kept being somewhat unreasonable given the marketplace or whatever. And it shifted the dynamic in my relationships with the people that I was working with, so that it was all about sales in terms of my obligation to my company. And also, I had the welfare of my customers at heart. And so I had a conflict. And there was a huge misalignment. And it got to the point where I was aware that I was really unhappy, but I wasn't aware that the cause of the unhappiness uh, was that I was really out of alignment with my values. And so we've spoken about values, we've spoken about heart, we've spoken about head. And what I realize, well, what I see in looking back on it, that this misalignment was a cause for deep, deep depression in me. That's what happened. Is I really felt like my life was wasting away, and this was because I did not have the perspective and the courage at that time to recognize how completely out of alignment things worked in order to make provisions for other possibilities. And actually, interestingly, now that I'm saying that, there was a part of me that was operative, that was pursuing other ventures. And it was at that time that I started studying the things that became the foundation of the core connection work that I do these days. So even back then, even though it was a really long time ago, I was pursuing something that gave me a sense of fulfillment and meaning and hope. And so Lillian says, yes, yes, I know all that about myself. So this is an opportunity, Lillian, to be looking at where you get stimulation, and also, and I mean stimulation in a good way, like what makes your heart sing. And this is something we've spoken about a lot, is how important it is to be finding your mission and your purpose, because it gives your life meaning, it gives you alignment. It's a way to express the callings of your heart and soul. And the thing about it is that it does take courage. And thank you, Sakeli. Sakeli says, good to see you made it out stronger and helping others along your ascension. Well, that's what we're all here for, right? Is to support each other in our growth in whatever way we do that, right? And so Lillian says, yes, right. I finally realized that it does take courage to be in alignment, to step into ownership of who you are, like to be willing to accept and embrace and celebrate who you are by the way that you choose to express yourself in the world, in your work, in your social interactions, in your activities, and how do we know that we're in alignment? Well, typically we know that by the way we feel, and what we feel when we connect deeply to our hearts. And so Natalie says, I cleaned my brother's house today. I can feel my mom and dad was I can feel own. I think you're maybe meaning my mom and dad were around, and his wife's dad around. I came home and can feel the the heavy was around me. I sage stick around. I think you might have been speaking this, Natalie, so there are all kinds of typos, but what I'm gathering is that you went to clean out your brother's house and you felt um, maybe the other, oh, I said your mom and your dad were around and his wife did. That's okay, Natalie. Anyway, that there was a whole bunch of heaviness that you took away with you, and sort of took the energy of the space with you, and we're looking to cleanse it. So yes, as you're saging, maybe you can touch into your heart and call forth your own heart. And as you do that, presence yourself to who you are and allow that to be a light. And maybe it starts out as just a little sparkle or a glimmer, and then allow that light to grow and grow and grow inside you until it fills you, so that you are reawakening yourself from the inside out to cleanse the other energy from your field, right? By strengthening your own energy. That's really what we've been talking about all week, is connecting into that essential self and that essential knowing that's in our hearts. And one way that we can do that, especially when we have conflict, is tie into that space and allow that light, allow ourselves to presence ourselves to that light, and allow that light to grow outward and expand. And absolutely, I let me know if that works for you. I found that working from the inside out is profoundly powerful, and typically more powerful than from the outside in. You know, when we have absorbed others' energies, what's happening is it's diverting our awareness of our own. So if we can pull ourselves back to presence and expand that presence, connect in with your heart, with your gut, and gut meaning your gut knowing, and allow that light to just expand and penetrate and radiate until it's way building out beyond you, and that way you will find yourself back to your presence and your alignment. And so, Natalie, you bring up a really good point about how we often get out of alignment under the influence of others by um, our susceptibility to other people's energy or other people's thinking or reasoning or emotions. And the thing that I find to be so powerful is when we strengthen ourselves. I've worked with lots of healer people and have been a healer person for so long in my life, that I know a lot of people focus on protection, and I instead focus on strengthening my field. And that when we are whole and when we are strong from within, then our protection is kind of natural. It happens as a consequence of that strength that we're radiating outward. Lillian says, it was so nice I managed to get on here with you today, Mira, on my birthday. Oh my gosh, Lillian, happy birthday. Maybe we can all say happy birthday to Lillian. I'm going to spare you my singing to you because you don't want to hear that. But know that I wish you a wonderful birthday, and that this day is the beginning of the best year of your life so far with magic and miracles. And Lillian says that the reason you haven't been here is because you've been having a migraine for a long time here, and I'm so sorry to hear about that. It was a nice gift to be here. That's wonderful, Lillian. It's delightful to have you here, and I hope your head feels better. Natalie says, I should sage stick his house to sell better. I don't know, Natalie. I mean, it couldn't hurt, right? It couldn't hurt. And having cinnamon around is awesome because it smells good for people that come into the house, and also visualizing the house going to the perfect people that will love it. That seems to be an effective way to work with a property. I've done that before, and clearing any resistance to it selling or any ideas about it not selling, clearing that stuff really seems to help. But if you imagine that the perfect family is coming in and loving that house and that it's the perfect place for them, that seems to be an effective approach. Plus make it smell good. Yeah, and Lillian says, I've been working a lot with myself and it's not so easy all the time. I hear you, Lillian. And it takes courage, and we get to cultivate our courage, right? As I'm not into the idea of war, but we we think of spiritual warriors, right? Well, it's because it's not an easy path. It's a hero's journey with lots of ups and lots of downs. And so we get to be really resilient and persistent and willing, open, and courageous. So, yeah. And all of this about alignment, right? So it takes courage to make the choices that will keep us in alignment. And one of the places that it takes great courage is in our willingness to be honest with ourselves. And I don't mean judging. So I mean being willing to see certain dynamics without judgment, with compassion, so that we can move through those learning opportunities. So if we, uh, Lillian says it's a big challenge to change ourselves into who we really are. Isn't that ironic, Lillian? I would say it can be a real challenge. And the thing is that we're not so much changing ourselves into who we are, we're letting go of who we're not, is really more like it, in my perspective anyway, is just um, the way that we judge ourselves. So I'm thinking for a moment back on a conversation that I recently had, and I've spoken this with you guys before, and that is that I just said what we get to do is let go of who we're not. And as we let go of who we're not, more and more we become more our essential selves. The thing is that we're Western people and we're not conditioned to be letting go so much as we are conditioned to be gathering and collecting. And so I came up with this twist that has been pretty effective for me, and that is expanding to include. So if I, rather than letting go of the ego, if I embrace the ego, rather than letting go of my anger, if I allow myself to expand to include my anger, and to include my sorrow, and to include my joy, and to include all these different aspects of myself, ultimately what I realize is that I am not any one of those things. I am all of that, and I am everything. And in that respect, the everything is equivalent to the nothing of letting everything go. So it's two apparently divergent paths to the same place. And I think that it is more aligned. Here we go with alignment. Um, it's more aligned with our Western sensibility to be expanding to include. And as we expand to include, what happens is that the judgment falls away, and we can allow for the fact that we have moments of anger, and that we have, or that we experience moments of grief, and that we experience moments of struggle, and we can expand to realize that that is not who we are, but it is an aspect of our experience, just as every human being is an aspect of life expressing itself. Every sentient creature, every manifestation on the planet is life expressing itself. So let's see. Lillian says, and it's really interesting with this path in our new world and going back to remember everything we need is inside us. Yes, that we are the universe, right? Ultimately, we are the universe. We're experiencing the universe with the illusion that we are individuated, right? And I was writing something. I'm part of a writer's circle, and we met this past week, and I was writing something that got me so close to the edge of revelation. And that was, how can I imagine that I am unique, or that I am an individual, when every molecule of my body and every breath I take has been breathed and existed as part of something else through all time? Every breath we take has been circulated around our globe uh, throughout time. So we're breathing in the life and history of all time. We are the fact, the elements of our bodies are elements from the universe. We are seeded by stars and the galaxy. So how can we believe that we are separate from one another? How can we believe that we're individuals when everything in our being is a constant exchange with the world and the environment around us? And so, Lillian, I hear you saying it's hard to find the way back to that. I get it. But if you start imagining how connected we are, that might help to move you into that space. So Natalie's saying, my brother and wife fight a lot and the kids fight and I'm picking it up. It could very well be. It's very likely that you are. And so coming back to you, Natalie, from your inside, from the inside out, like find the spark that's Natalie in the very middle of your being, and sage yourself if that helps, and breathe in light and breathe in love and breathe out expansion and breathe out any of the tension or the energies that aren't your own, to find your way back to yourself. So I know it might feel a little abrupt, but I have a meeting at in 2 minutes. So I want to say thank you, thank you, thank you for being here with me, for engaging, for showing yourself so vulnerably, for sharing. And I'm Mira Rubin. This is the Core Connection. And I'm here every weekday morning at 9 a.m. Eastern Time. I love having this time with you. Thank you. And I wish you a wonderful weekend. Enjoy the Enlightened World Network neighborhood and community. And Liliane, happy birthday. I hope that your head is feeling better. And Danette, so glad you were here. Natalie, good luck. And I hope that you're able to brighten your own brilliance for yourself and in the world. And so, Kelly, wonderful to have you here. I'm so glad that you were able to join us, and hope that you can join us again in the future. Blessings, everyone. Lots and lots of love.